Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. I am Katie Shorey, Startup Maine's president. Today is our third session of the Entrepreneurs and Ecosystem Builders series. These virtual events feature thinkers and doers from across the state who are working on and building awesome companies and products. And we also are featuring folks who are helping to further develop our startup ecosystem. Today's event would not be possible without our sponsors, Bangor Savings Bank and Maine Technology Institute, as well as our business news sponsor, Maine Biz. So for those who don't know about Maine Technology Institute, it was founded and funded in 1999 by the Maine State Legislature, and they offer grants, loans, equity investments, and services to support Maine's innovation economy. They support new ideas, new products or methods with the potential to grow and diversify Maine's economy and increase the number of quality jobs throughout the state by directly supporting innovators and through the support of programs and infrastructure that encourage innovation. And MTI also supports Maine's innovation economy through event sponsorships that promote innovation and entrepreneurship in Maine, such as this series. So we thank them. They have been such a supportive partner over the years. To learn more and to find out if you're eligible for their funding, visit mainetechnology.org. And now I'm going to show a brief 30-second video from our sponsor, Bangor Savings Bank.
All across New England, business owners are finding new ways to succeed. Families are working hard to provide for their loved ones and their future. It's the spirit of New Englanders that inspires all of us to do more. It's in our employees, our customers, and our communities. Every day we do more. Because at Bangor Savings Bank, we truly believe you matter more.
All right, we're gonna get going here. I'm so excited to introduce you to today's guest, Kristine Logan. She's the Director of TechPlace, which is located in Brunswick. Welcome, Kristine.
Thank you, Katie.
Yes, so good morning. So let's jump right in. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so first, thanks for having me here. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate what Startup Maine and yourself are doing to keep everybody connected and informed of what's still going on during these strange times when we're physically apart. So I am the Deputy Director of Innovation and Development for the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority, known as MIRA, and the Director of TechPlace, our incubator for manufacturing startup companies. I have been working in economic development for the past 12 years, and prior to that worked in workforce development. Prior to my job with MIRA, I worked as one of the governor's account executives with the Department of Economic and Community Development, and that was a great opportunity for me to also get connected to the resources for businesses that support businesses both at the local level, the federal level, the state level, and make those connections that I still use today in my current job. And then I came to MIRA back in 2014 to focus on creating our technology incubator, TechPlace. And I was not born here. I was born in Connecticut, but I like to tell people I got here as fast as I could.
Love that. Well, we're so glad that you're here. You do amazing work. So let's talk about TechPlace. What is TechPlace and what do you focus on there?
So TechPlace is a 95,000 square foot technology incubator for early stage and startup manufacturing companies with a focus on aerospace, composite technologies, clean tech, biosciences, and IT. And we offer office space and manufacturing space, as well as shared shops for prototyping. The neat thing about TechPlace is also that the companies that are in there are also getting connected to business resources for help, whether they need capital, talent, legal advice, their supply chain, and their connections with the other businesses that are in there. TechPlace is diverse in its people, We have folks from all over the state of Maine, also from different parts of the US, and a couple of international companies, folks that have come from overseas to start up a company. So TechPlace is really a spot to innovate and to create and to try new ideas. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that TechPlace is its members. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just who's there. So we have about 38 businesses that are at TechPlace, and they are developing rocket engines. They are developing rockets themselves. I have a company that is building composite floats for seaplanes. We have a company that's called Field Phytonutrients that processes algae that goes into pet products as a nutrient for cats, dogs, and fish. Sterizyme is a company that is run by a woman from Chicago, and they design surgical trays for the medical industry. We have an international company called Inspiro that's also in the bio sector, and they work with liver tissues to develop these 5 species assays that are sent and used by pharmaceutical companies all over the world. And I can go on, but I won't because I know we only have a half hour, but it's, we have some really great companies working on some great technologies, manufacturing.
So that's the focus is manufacturing companies, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Simply put, TechPlace is there to support the growth of early stage manufacturing companies in those industries.
So we'll dive into this a little bit more, but I want to talk about you for a little bit. So paint a picture for the audience about a day in the life of you being an ecosystem builder. You're an advocate, a doer, you're bringing opportunities to entrepreneurs. So like, what's it like behind the scenes? Like, talk about the moving pieces, because I think we talked.
It's fun, but let's see. So I'll set the stage a little bit. We have 95,000 square feet of a facility. Like I said, about 38 companies currently in TechPlace with about 100 employees. And this is a little bit pre-COVID as well. The number of companies have stayed, but the number of people working there daily has changed a little bit. So what I currently do for the companies, I'll do a focus on who's already there. And my role there is really about making sure the companies that we have as members have what they need to be successful in their growth. So that means being able to keep the facility running. It also means having connections with all the business resources that are available throughout the state, on the federal level, on the local level, and making sure that our shops, because we have prototyping shops, that everything is running properly. The other piece is, as you know, TechPlace is about bringing companies in when they're starting, helping them grow, and then eventually they move out and they locate somewhere in Maine, sometimes right in Brunswick. And so I'm usually always looking for new prospective members that are a good fit for TechPlace, meaning that we have what they need to be successful. So I do a lot of outreach, and that's done through our partners. So we work with MTI, which you did a great job explaining it. Everybody knows who MTI is, and they've helped myself develop the facility. They also have worked with several of our companies at TechPlace with technical support as well as funding. We work with the Maine International Trade Center. SCORE, Nancy Stroni has been great about connecting our companies to some great mentors. Maine PTAC, which is the Procurement and Technical Assistance Center, has a presence at TechPlace, and they work with folks to connect to federal contracts. The Manufacturer Extension Partnership also is located in TechPlace, has a rep there, and they have worked with many of our companies on everything from plant layout, lean manufacturing, ISO trainings, also a really great partner. Department of Labor, SBA, a lot of the trade organizations, BioMaine, Manufacturers Association of Maine, the Maine Composites Alliance. And so a lot of my work is about keeping connected to these folks and understanding what their programs are and how they can be helpful to the companies that are at TechPlace. And then my favorite part is to be a cheerleader for all the companies at TechPlace.
Yes, which you do very well. I love that part too, just being able to lift up all the great success stories. And so you had when we talked earlier, you had said that some companies, when they get too big, they might move off campus. So are they staying local in Maine, or are they hiring new people? So what are some success stories there?
Yeah, so we have had some good graduates out of TechPlace. And I would say most of the companies will stay anywhere from a year to almost 3 years. So we're not an accelerator where people move in, we give them intense services for 4 to 6 months, and then they leave. They pretty much, we're incubating them. So, and that takes a while. So when companies move in, they stay for several years, and then they usually, statistically, I think it's 80% of companies that move out of incubators will stay within 20 miles or 30 miles of the incubator. And that's because that's where their supply chain is, their workforce is still located around there, their banks and their capital is usually around that where they're working. So they don't move far. Our graduates several of them have stayed on the Brunswick landing, and the rest have stayed within the state of Maine. So a couple of good success stories is Stark Systems. I'm sure many of you may have heard of Stark. They build a containable wall systems for temporary containment, and it's composite material. And they have been actually booming during this COVID time because they have pivoted, and their wall system is being used for temporary containment for treatment of COVID patients. Vivid Cloud is another company that started with 2 people in TechPlace, and they graduated out. They have about 60 employees, and I think Stark has about 80 something employees at this point. Blue Shift Aerospace is also a great success story. They're currently working on a rocket engine that is going to be used in our new space program, which I hope to be able to talk a little bit about after. And all of these companies are still local to Maine.
And I think this is something that Tori brought up on our last session around, they were very intentional about when they were setting up, getting good relationships with their lawyers, their banks, accountants. And what I'm hearing from you is that that's also a sticking point of helping the companies stay locally, because they then have these great relationships with their service providers.
Exactly.
So pretty full circle.
Yes.
So actually, yeah, let's talk a bit about some of the frustrating problems that you might be facing, because from anything from talent to access to financial resources, what are some things that you're facing at TechPlace, or that you're hearing that the entrepreneurs are facing?
So I'm going to start narrow with what's happening during this pandemic time that I find frustrating or challenging. And one of the big attractions to being in a place like TechPlace, and probably most other shared spaces, is that ability to be able to collaborate. And when we first developed TechPlace, we used to call them that we were trying to develop collisions of innovation. People would just be bumping into each other and, being able to share ideas. And prior to COVID, we did that through lunches or ice cream socials. We'd have ping pong and foosball tournaments and graduations, holiday parties, anything that was bringing folks together. They were hanging out in the commons and chatting and sharing supply chain. Where'd you get your funding? Can I borrow your welder? So that's not happening as much as we would like it anymore, because we can't. And so I think the challenge of trying to maintain community is big. So working on that in other ways. Another challenge for our folks is, we bring companies in, and the reason we developed TechPlace is because there wasn't anything for early stage and small manufacturing companies that were starting up. They were looking for 500 square feet, 1,000 square feet of manufacturing space, and there was nothing available to do that. they'd have to rent 10,000 square feet of space, even though they only needed 1,000, right? So we created TechPlace, and now we can meet that need. But when these companies go to graduate, they are usually looking for about 5 to 10,000 square feet of space or 15,000 square feet of space. And that real estate is hard to come by. And so it's usually a challenge for us to, as we graduate people, I help them find their next space, and small, medium manufacturing space is hard to find. So we make do and we find places, but I would love it if there was just a bunch of 10,000 to 20,000 square foot facilities with nice big doors and tall ceilings and good power. We could probably fill those.
And I think we also talked a bit about the workforce, and yes, that there are some companies there that if they could hire 5, 10 people in a specific field, they would, but they can't. So give an example. Talk about the partnership with Augusta.
Yes, so that is true. We have several companies, and a lot of times the biggest challenge that's holding them back to growth is finding the right skilled employee. So I have one of the bioscience companies, like if I could hire 2 lab technicians, I would do it today. If I could find, a composites person, I would hire them today because I have enough work. I just can't keep up with it. So, and the same thing, we had talked a little bit about the aviation and aerospace industry that we're very much focused on. And sometimes the biggest challenge is in recruiting companies is there enough talent here in Maine to support the growth of the company, what they want to see. And so we have found that one of the things that's lacking is access to aviation technicians. And so Mira has partnered with University of Maine Augusta, who currently has a drone pilot school on the campus, on the Brunswick landing. And they are helping put together a curriculum together with the FAA to create what's called A&P school, airframes and power plants. And that is an FAA certification for aviation technicians, which, there's a lot of demand for those jobs and those skills, and there's a great career with good pay. So we are hoping to get that off the ground in the next year and be able to help the workforce build up around aerospace and aviation skill sets.
Where's the nearest one of those other schools?
Well, I think every state has one except for us, and I think Delaware. So I think that there's one in Rhode Island. There might be one somewhere in New Hampshire.
So it's a gap that if we were to fill that need, okay, that's great to hear. So yeah, let's talk about let's talk briefly about, because we only have 10 minutes left. So let's talk a bit more about what's going on the landing, and then also I want to end on all of the space stuff with everything that's happening with the spaceport, because I don't think a lot of people know that there's this whole space focus going on in Maine right now. So yeah, let's end on that. So what's going on the landing? So and tell the folks on the call what the landing is, because
okay,
if you don't work there, you know.
Right. So the Brunswick Landing is the new name for the former Brunswick Naval Air Station, which was closed in 2015. We were put on the BRAC closure list. And so MIRA, our organization, was formed by the legislature to handle the reuse of that property from military use to civilian use. And so on that property, we have inherited and have been conveyed property that we've developed. We also run an airport. So there's General Aviation Airport, which is doing really well. We certainly had a dip during the pandemic, but we are back up to not exactly where we were before, but pretty close. And actually this past October, a year ago, October, we surpassed the number of air operations that the Navy had when they were fully operational and here. So the airport's doing great. And as my boss would like to say, it's taking off. And we also, we also own our own electrical grid, which is a neat opportunity to allow for new technologies to plug and play on our system. We are 100% renewable energy. That was one of our charges, that whole campus would be run on renewable energy that we produce on site. Currently, we produce about 70% between an anaerobic digester and a solar farm. And then we purchase wind power through a consortium to make up the difference. But there are plans for the digester to double in its size by next year. And so that will give us our full load. So we're happy to be able to say that we are 100%, and every business on there obviously can say that they run on 100% renewable energy, which is really important for many businesses to be able to do that. So yeah, we're just, there's about 140 businesses that are located on the Brunswick Landing now and employ about 2,200 people.
Yep.
So we are getting there. There's new housing going up currently as we speak. A new medical facility, a Wild Oats, a nice big bakery that just moved and is opening probably this month on the landing. We're excited about that. Flight Deck Brewery, shout out to Nate. Most people, if you don't know anything about the landing, you know the brewery. And we certainly laughed about that a little bit when Nate opened the brewery. People started going, oh, they identified the Brunswick Landing. They knew nothing about it except it's the place where the brewery is. We're like, we have worked so hard to do so many things, and all we needed to do was have somebody open a brewery. So lots of good things still going on at the Brunswick Landing.
That's great. No, I when I drove up there recently, I couldn't believe all of the housing that was popping up everywhere. And it's good to see outside of Portland that there's just a lot of interest in people moving and especially that.
Brunswick is a great town and to be in, and as the landing gets developed and more businesses open, it attracts more people. And then you start with, do we build housing first and then try to attract people, or, and so we're at a point where there's, like I said, 2,200 people working on the landing, and they're driving from all over. So this is a great opportunity for people to move a little bit closer to where they work.
So with our few minutes that we have left, and if anyone has questions, feel free to plop them in the Q&A. If we have time, we'll get to them. Otherwise, I will make sure that you have Kristine's info if you want to follow up with her directly. But so I want to talk about what you're looking forward to and things that you're excited about, and tell us about the spaceport and what this means for Maine.
Yeah, so that is one thing we're really excited about. So one of the things that we do at the Redevelopment Authority is we're always looking to the future, right? We want to be able to say, what's going to be the big idea, the big technology, the big industry 5-10 years from now? And then what do we do right now to prepare ourselves to be able to support that when the time comes? The new initiative of space is really exciting for us. The Maine Space Grant Consortium has been working for a couple of years to basically determine if Maine can be successful in the space industry. And the answer is yes, we can. And the niche part of the market that Maine is going to be focusing on is the launching of what they call cube satellites into low Earth orbit. And I could talk for another half hour just on why we're perfectly set up to do that in Maine and because of our location. But the cube satellites are these small cubes that are put up there, and they're stay up in space for a couple of years and then they burn up. So there's no space garbage. But they're used by private sector, by educational institutions to do everything from mapping, communications, security. So there's a lot of demand for that. So that's what we're going to be doing in Maine. And currently the Maine spaceport is located at TechPlace. They're working, actually, I think they're meeting right now, the group about how to put together the strategic plan on how to put out the whole plan for an implementation of the spaceport. There'll be Brunswick Landing will be kind of like your Houston. It'll be the R&D, the manufacturing, the education piece, and then launch sites will be in northern Maine. And so in TechPlace now, we have Blue Shift Aerospace. Sasha Deary is the owner of that company, and they have been for the last couple of years developing a rocket engine that runs on a sustainable fuel, which is really excellent also. And currently they are building the rocket that engine will go to. And then next month they will be launching 2 Cube satellites into orbit and from northern Maine, and you can stream it. So check out their Facebook page, and when they set the date, you can stream it. See, this is my cheerleading part. Woo! Go Blue Shift. Vault Enterprises is also an aerospace company at TechPlace, and they have done 2 launches of their rocket. Daniel Grayson has a company there. He's an engineer, and he builds ground support structures for the aerospace industry. So there's a lot going on even in our little sector, but even in Maine itself, I think Shanna Bellows had one time mentioned to me that I think there's 35 or 36 aviation or aerospace companies in Maine already. So there's things going on, but it's pulled together, and we've never had a launch facility. So we're excited about being able to play in that sector. And Sasha has said, won't it be cool when we launch a rocket and it has Made in Maine stamped on it? And I was like, yeah, that's going to be cool. So we're excited about that initiative of the space. And a really quick plug also, we're also working on the development of a separate bioincubator. As I think there's been a lot of conversation around Maine being able to do really, really well in life sciences. We already do it well. We have, some key stakeholders in IDEX and Jackson Labs and Bigelow, and a lot of smaller companies that are starting to come forth. And the Rue Institute is focused on that. Tom Rainey over at the Maine Center for Entrepreneurs is focused on that. And so we're all working together to how to build the right ecosystem to attract bioscience companies to Maine. And this bioincubator is part of that.
That's really
so excited about that too.
Yes. Actually, on your first note, Bobby Lamont from Maine Angels gave us the link. So if you want to be able to watch the Blue Shift Stardust.
Oh, good. Thank you.
On the 16th, I threw that in the chat. And then we have a question from Erica Newman. With such an impressive renewable energy footprint, are your companies talking about or aware of B Corps or benefit corporation status and benefits? You know if that's a conversation?
I don't know if they're all aware. I do know that I had one company in TechPlace that was a B Corp, and they made, it was Attain, I believe, and they made performance wear shirts out of recycled plastic bottles. They made all the shirts for the Try for a Cure, for the Dempsey Challenge, and I think they were a B Corp. But I'm not sure how much people really know or understand the benefits to that. So that could be a good learning session for us to even have at TechPlace.
Okay, Erica, so I'll connect you with Kristine so you can have a conversation about that. I want to thank you for your time. We are at the end here. This always goes so quickly. I really appreciate your time. And do you want to let folks know how they can get in touch with you? Should they want to have a follow-up conversation, or where they can
Absolutely.
Find LinkedIn?
Yep. Please reach out. I'm happy to continue any of the conversations. And I could be reached by email at Kristine L, Kristine with a K, at mrra.us.
Excellent.
And our techplace.us is our email or our website, and you can go on there and our information's on that as well.
Great. I just dropped it in the chat. So thank you again, Kristine. Love what you're doing. Keep up the great work, and really excited to hear more about the life science focus and all the space work. And everyone now knows that you are such a great asset to the growing manufacturing companies in the state. So thanks again for your time, and we'll see you
Katie.
soon. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.